It's another edition of Time About the Movies. Today we're taking a look at the films of March 12, 2004. We got 4 films to look at today, so let's go ahead and get right to it. And we'll start off with the biggest new release of the weekend, which is Johnny Depp in David Koeff's Secret Window. So based off of a Stephen King short story, Johnny Depp plays a successful writer, Mort Rainey, who's going through a rather unfriendly divorce with his wife of 10 years, played by Maria Bello. Alone and bitter in his cabin, he continues to work on writing a story when a stranger named John Shooter, played by John Turturro, shows up on his doorstep claiming Rainey stole his story. Mort says he can prove the story belongs to him and not Shooter, but when Mort digs around for the magazine which published the story in question years ago, things begin to happen around Shooter. Mort's dog dies, people begin to die, his divorce proceedings with Amy continue to get uglier. It seems that Shooter has Mort over a barrel, but perhaps Mort has his own ideas of how to resolve all the problems that plague him lately. An interesting idea. David Koepp, of course, is a man who has made a lot of movies as a writer, wrote great stuff like Bad Influence, Jurassic Park, Carlito's Way, The Paper, Panic Room, Spider-Man. This is only his third directorial outing after the Trigger Effect and Stir of Echoes, which are both really good films. This is a film, however, that I feel like I should like more because I like the idea. I like a lot of the elements they throw in here, but it's a movie that is very, very much all over the place. It's a movie that really doesn't know which direction it really wants to take itself in the long run. Like, it feels like a film that should have a simple, straight-minded storyline of where to go, but it just never really gets to that point where you get a sense of what they're trying to accomplish here. And it just fails miserably when they get to the final ending of the movie. And it's just like, really? That's how this whole thing's going to end? The trailers had a whole lot of promise to it. There's a lot of really good talent involved in here. Like I said, Johnny Depp, John Turturro, Maria Bello, Timothy Hutton, Charles S. Dutton in here. A strong cast overall. And David Koepp can be a very good director, as he's proven in the past couple films, and even after this with Ghost Town. But even in something like this, it just feels like he's really pushing his luck here. I don't think and I don't know. I just feel like this is one of those Stephen King stories that really could not be really represented well on the big screen. I mean, certainly better than Dreamcatcher the year before, but I don't know. Me personally, I was a little bit disappointed by it. I mean, Johnny Depp I thought was pretty good in it, so was John Turturro. They were probably the two best things about it. But other than that, though, it's definitely a film that has a lack of thrills when it really should not. I mean, it had so much promise from the trailers alone, but it just can't live up to those promises with an ending as bad as this is. It's a shame, because the possibilities are there, just not the right execution, unfortunately. So that's Secret Window. So let's go ahead and move on to the sequel to last year's breakout hit, Agent Cody Banks, Agent Cody Banks 2, Destination London.
A secret government facility. Agent Cody Banks has been trained to handle any situation. Attention all campers, go 42. Parents' Day. But on March 12th, he's got a new partner.
You think it's a blanket?
And a whole new adventure.
Are you telling me that the CIA was behind Beanie Babies?
Doesn't know what they're Beanie Babies. Agent Cody Banks, Destination London. Rated PG. Starts Friday, March 12th.
It's probably not a good sign when the funniest joke in the whole movie is in the trailer. I mean, the scene where the Beanie Baby attacking Keith David. I mean, come on. That's really the funniest thing in this entire movie. But Agent Cody Banks 2, Destination London is pretty much your straightforward, let's rush the sequel out there, even though we haven't really given the first one a chance to really get a chance to appeal to most people out there. Even though it was a success, I still feel, I think they, like I said, I said it before, I think they were trying to go with the Spy Kids method of, like, getting these movies out once a year. But the Spy Kids movies had a fan base that was building with the other films, and a visual style for Robert Rodriguez that added to the popularity of those movies. But here, I just don't think it was there this time around. And you have a story here where it takes place in London, obviously, and Cody and his buffoonish adult partner Derek, played by Anthony Anderson, which I feel like he was brought in there because he was the rising star and kind of trying to be the Richard Pryor like Richard Pryor in Superman 3, except in Cody Banks. But Cody and Derek try to recover stolen software and stop the activation of the government's mind control project. And yeah, this is definitely not as good as the original film. And obviously you don't have it for some reason. Angie Harmon isn't there. Neither is Hilary Duff. Not even the same director that was in there. And the director tried to come back for it, but he left over financial disagreements. He had wanted the figures to. He wanted to. It's according to MGM executives, they disputed Zwart's figures, saying that twice they had bumped up the film's budget during negotiations to meet his expectations. The budget was around $30 million, and the price kept moving up, as often with sequels. And then they offered it to Kevin Allen, who directed The Big Tease with Craig Ferguson before this. And I don't know, this just feels like a rushed sequel. And it doesn't even feel like a sequel that they wanted to make. Like, we're going to get to the Garfield movies later on, and obviously one of the big things about Garfield 2 was the fact that they made it because the first film was a success in London. I feel like they did the same thing with this particular movie, and I think just the zeitgeist of it was just quickly abandoned, and there really wasn't a whole lot there for this movie for this series to really continue after that film. Even though they've had attempts to try to continue it, I think Frankie Muniz actually had MGM pitch him ideas for 2 different sequels. One a family-friendly sequel, and the other would be an adult-oriented animated series, with the series being like Cody Banks training a new group of teenage spies, similar to BoJack Horseman, but I don't know. I'm actually kind of surprised they didn't make any direct-to-video sequels after this. I mean, this feels like a series that would have continued with direct-to-video sequels, and they just never really did it. And I was actually kind of surprised by that. But yeah, it's a lame sequel. It's nothing all that exciting or fun, especially compared to the first film. The first film was at least fun, but like I said, the best thing about the movie we just saw it in the trailer with that Beanie Baby attacking Keith David. I mean, come on, it's the funniest scene in the whole movie, and it's not a good sign when the funniest scene in the whole movie is in your trailer, and it just, I don't know, it just feels like a film that should have been a whole lot better. The chemistry between Muniz and Hannah Spirit doesn't work all that well. The villain isn't that great either. It's just a disappointing sequel, and you expect so much better from it, especially considering how surprisingly good the first film was, and sadly, that's not the case this time around. So yeah, this one pretty much just came and went. So did our next movie, David Mamet's latest film, and that is Spartan.
Where's the girl?
They took her.
Please stay.
I don't want to get in trouble.
I need a man who can request you and follow orders. I am here to get the girl back.
She was snatched while he was cheating on his wife. It comes out, they lose the election.
She wanted to bring the man down.
Stop looking for her.
You had to put on your thinking cap.
So in the U.S. government's secret ops, Val Kilmer plays a shooter who is not a planner, doing the job with no regard to quaint or obsolete convention. And when a Harvard undergrad goes missing, Scott applies the pressure first to her boyfriend, then to a madam whose cat house is the initial stop en route to a white slavery auction in Dubai. The abductors may know the girl's identity, but once they figure it out, she's doomed. Deadly double-crossing forces force Scott to become a planner. Though through it all, earnest TV newscasters read the drivel they're handed. Again, this is IMDb, and this is IMDb, man, you gotta check some of these synopses, because this does not make a whole lot of sense at all, the way that this is written down here, but you get kind of the idea from there. And you got a cast that you saw in the trailer: Val Kilmer, Derek Luke, Ed O'Neill, William H. Macy. There's also Kristen Bell. This is one of her first films, actually, I think, before she became famous with Veronica Mars later in the year. Clark Gregg from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Tia Texada. A good cast overall here. And, this is a film that, this is right up David Mamet's alley, but it's one of his few films that I really do feel like that he missed the mark on. I mean, it's a movie that does have a lot of potential to it, a lot of visual flair to it, but it just feels like a film, this was around the time when Mamet's career was kind of on the downward spiral. He started off his career so promisingly, with stuff like, The Post Without the Verdict, The Untouchables, Glengarry Glen Ross, House of Games, Things Change, Spanish Prisoner, a lot of really good movies, and this just feels like a film that, again, has so much potential to it with the cast that they have. Ed O'Neill, people forget that Ed O'Neill is a damn good dramatic actor, man. Before everyone knew him as Al Bundy, he was he was in a bunch of movies where he played a dramatic role. He was Popeye Doyle in a TV series, and then after Married with Children ended, before he did Modern Family, He did a criminally underrated Dragon show produced by Dick Wolf of Law and Order. Like, it unfortunately lasted a few seasons, but it really should have continued on, man. But then again, not even David Mamet could escape the wrath of franchise pictures. You saw that it was franchise pictures at the beginning of the commercial. So you automatically know that chances are you're not going to get the best quality film out of this, no matter how hard you try, and no matter how much talent you put to it. And there's a lot of good talent involved in here. The story just really isn't that engaging or interesting. It's really boring. Nothing really exciting happens, and you just expect so much more because of who's on board for this. It's a shame because the possibilities were there, just the execution was not there whatsoever. And it really sucks because it's David Mamet. David Mamet is a damn good filmmaker, but this is one of his few stumbles as a writer and director, and it pains me to say that, especially with the talent that they have on here. So that is Spartan. Let's go ahead and move on to our last film, and that is NASCAR 3D, the IMAX experience. You gotta love the days when the IMAX theater 3D experience always had to have like the logo or the trailer card coming right at you. Like, it really is like they didn't even try to hide it back then. It's just like that. Like, it's kind of the equivalent of me doing this, except like, yeah, it's just I miss that era, honestly. Even though there's some movies that still try to do that today, but that's an era that's completely that's an era that I think most people have forgotten about, but I don't know, kind of wish they brought it back again. But this is NASCAR 3D, the IMAX experience. It's Warner Brothers' first IMAX 3D film, and it's directed by Simon Wincer, who's directed a couple movies we've talked about, and narrated by Kiefer Sutherland, which provides an educational overview of the origins, evolution, and current state of NASCAR. And it also explains how the sport works, from the rules to the aerodynamics, the various tasks the teams take on to prepare for each race each weekend, and the risks NASCAR drivers experience during every race. Now, keep in mind, this is before the rules of NASCAR changed completely. All the different playoffs they have, and like it's just gotten ridiculous now. But this is back when it was straight and simple, straight to the point. You got famous NASCAR riders like Jimmy Johnson, Ryan Newman, Mike Hilton, and it's only a 48-minute movie, so it's not even that long of a film in general. I don't know. It's one that I was kind of curious about when I saw the trailers for it back in the day, even though I wasn't a big NASCAR person. Just something about seeing these cars on the big screen like IMAX had a lot of potential to it, and I never got to see it in theaters. I did eventually get to see it on DVD, and it's pretty interesting to see what it looks like. I mean, it would have been nice to see it on a big screen, not even, maybe not an IMAX screen, but like an HD screen, HD TV screen like we have nowadays. But like, it's a film that has a lot of interesting ideas. It's kind of similar to Michael Jordan to the Max, where you get to see like Michael Jordan doing what he does best on a big IMAX screen. It feels like you're right there. Like it does feel like that with this particular movie in general. I kind of wish that they had done a little bit more in terms of the length. It's only, like I said, it's only about half of an hour and a half. I mean, only about 45 minutes, and there really isn't a whole lot to really explore what NASCAR shows off. And I don't know, I thought it could have been a little bit longer, but as it is, I thought it worked very well. I thought it was a very well put together film, a fun little IMAX documentary short, not even short, a short film, if you will. I mean, you get the idea. It's a very short movie, but not a short film, but just it's shorter than you would expect from a feature length film. But still worth checking out even if you're not a big NASCAR fan. You can still appreciate some of the visuals that they have involved in this. So I recommend NASCAR 3D. So with that said, we wrap up another edition of Time About the Movies. We'll take a look at 3 more films on the next episode. Zack Snyder comes to the Hollywood scene for the first time with his remake of Dawn of the Dead. We have Angelina Jolie and DJ Caruso's Taking Lives. And Jim Carrey, Kate Winslet, Elijah Wood, and Kirsten Dunst in Michelle Gondry's Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. 3 films we'll take a look at. We'll do that on the next episode. But until then, thank you so much for watching. And if you want to see more videos like this, please hit the plays on the next page, check out the previous episode, and also don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button if you want to see more videos like this on this channel. So, with that said, I'm off. I will see you guys next time, and until then, as always, what was I doing with my hand there? There we go. Until next time, Take care.